Hello and welcome back. My name is Coralie. This is my channel, Jump With No Fear, and this is the van that I sometimes go camping in. Today I am going to tell you how it is that I prepare a meal in such a small space. So stick around and I'm going to tell you the things that I do to be able to manage cooking in a small space. I'm going to share my experiences with you. Hello and welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to tell you my experiences of cooking in a small space. Sometimes there's certain things you don't think of about living and moving around in a small space until you're in the middle of it. And one of those things is preparing food. Now, a lot of people have their vans set up so that they can cook outside, which is really cool if you've got the weather for it. But if you don't, you need to figure out a way to cook inside your tiny space like this one here. When Alexis and I took our trip down to Adelaide, there wasn't always the weather to allow for cooking outside. In fact, I've set up my van specifically so that I can cook in here. To cook outside for me, I don't really have my van set up to be able to do that. So I prefer to have everything accessible from inside, mainly because if we were stealth camping somewhere or we wanted to cook somewhere in like a suburban area or something like that and didn't want people to see that we were camping, I kind of thought, well, I want to be able to do everything inside. That worked out really well for us in Adelaide because oftentimes it was either raining a lot or it was really, really cold. I encountered a lot of things that I hadn't thought of when I started cooking. Mostly it's about space management. Now, as you can see, here is my fridge. This is what I use often as a bench. So the other bench I have is just to the side here. You might be able to see the edge of it there. That is a new one. I didn't actually have that bench here when we had our trip to Adelaide. So that is actually a fancy newish thing that I have, which I can now use. Extra bench space is always a bonus. But the main thing that I've used is here. Now, I used to have a pull-out drawer under this spot, but I moved my pull-out drawer so that it came out the back instead. And now, this thing here, well, under this cover, is actually my composting toilet. And because it's so contained and smell-free, I have no qualms at all about using this as a surface to lean on. And then I got this especially made by someone who works with reclaimed woods, so it's not even brand new, so that was really nice. And I got it made to fit especially on top of here so that I can use this as a cooking and whatever other sort of surface that I need to use when I'm in my van. So I'm going to show you how I do it and the little things that you might not think of until you're actually in your van. So the first thing you have to think of when you're cooking in a small space is you need everything within reach. If you have your cooking space set up here or set up here, wherever you are cooking, you don't want to have to be moving your entire body around all of your hot stuff. So the very first thing I will do is I will get out everything that I need to cook with and to prepare that food with. So I'm going to grab everything I need now. Got gloves for handling hot stuff. I have the stove that I'm going to boil my stuff in. And I also have my jet boil that I'm going to boil my water in. I prefer to boil the water in this because it's much quicker and it takes less fuel that way. The pot I'm going to cook in. This is actually one I haven't used yet. I bought it a while ago, and because we haven't been out camping for so long, I haven't actually had a chance to use it. So I'm going to use it for the first time today. And the plates that I'll be serving my food on as well. That will also come out. I'm not going to adjust my camera for this, but right down beside my little bench space here, I have all of our cutlery and everything that we're going to eat with. Now, also in the top here, I have a knife. This is the knife that I'm going to use for cutting my things. This is where my leftover food is going to go. One of the things anyway. My water is behind here, behind the seat. It's accessible for when I sit here, which is the spot where I cook. Already I've run into a problem. This is my fridge and I've piled all my cooking stuff on top of my fridge, so I'm going to have to move it again. Sometimes you do just have to shift things around a lot. Now, because I have this extra space here, I'm going to use this. I'll try to pack everything as efficiently as possible. so that it doesn't take up too much space. Now, when you're in a full-size kitchen at home, you can spread things out, but in a space like this, you're much more limited. So it does mean you have to think a bit harder what things you're going to need and in what order. Now, because this is my fridge, I have my veggies in here. This is actually just for pretend. It's not actually turned on, but I did put my veggies in here because that's where I would normally access them from. So, I will need carrots. I will need a place to put my offcuts. So I'll be peeling the carrots and I'll put them in there. I will need broccoli and I will need my tofu. I think the only thing left that I need to do is pull out my bench space for cooking. Oh, the other thing, of course, I need is here. That is where my lighter is, so it's right within my reach and nothing's going to be in the way. One problem also which you need to think about is if you've got a level space. My van is actually parked on a little bit of a slope. It's not too bad, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull out my little toilet here. Now, I have these door stops which I put in the front of it to stop it from sliding forward if I hit the brakes. So I'm going to try to prop it up with those door stops to make it a little bit more level. There we go. That's pretty level. Okay, now it has been forever since I've actually prepared food in here. So, all right, I've got everything I need out of the fridge. Now, the space that I'm reaching to here, that's actually the bed. So you really just use every single space that you've got available. All right, what have we got? We've got to start with the cutting board, chopping the veggies. So first I'm going to start with my tofu. And I'm going to have my little container ready for putting the leftovers in because now that everything's piled on my fridge, I can't actually access the fridge. Well, I can if I want to move everything off again, but the point is that I don't want to move everything off again. Part of my goal when I'm cooking is to not make extra dishes as well because when you've got such a small space, you don't want to make extra work for yourself. So if you can avoid using extra dishes, don't use them. Okay, that can just stay there for now. Okay, and because I need that tiny board, again, you need small things. I could have a bigger cutting board, but I just find it easier to keep this one stored here because it's so small, which is the idea. I shall put that in my bowl, ready for the other stuff now. One of the goals I have when cooking in a small space, as I mentioned before, is saving dishes. Normally, I would fry the tofu and these veggies in a fry pan, but because I don't want to make extra dishes, I'm adjusting the way I'll make this dish. So instead of frying it, I'm just going to boil everything. There are ways you can adapt your meals so that you're not using as many dishes and not needing to then take up so much space and then not having a lot of dishes afterwards to deal with. I have a bag to put my peelings in. Where possible, I try to use soft bags because they pack down smaller. So especially when you've got limited fridge space, if you have hard containers in there, sometimes you can't avoid having a hard container, but if you do have hard containers in there, sometimes it makes it harder to pack everything in that you need. If you can have something that's in a soft container, then do that because then you can move it around the fridge to fit into tiny little spots where other things might not fit. I've always wanted to try that. Carrots can go in here. My goal with this today is to have absolutely everything chopped and ready so that all I have to do is put things in the pots in the order they're supposed to go in. So it's almost a bit like those cooking shows on TV where they have all the tiny little dishes around with all the portions that you need for everything. Except I'm not doing the tiny dishes because every time I watch that I just think of how many dishes they're going to make. And next is the broccoli. So it's kind of a case of adjusting your thinking about what is bench space and what is storage space. Ordinarily, if you're in a kitchen, you would just put things straight in the pan or whatever, but because I've got a limited space here to chop, I'm going to use that as my bench space. So it's a bit of an adjustment in thinking. And in fact, I really get into a routine with cooking, and so when I'm cooking in the van, I actually find it quite difficult to think in a different order of how I'm going to cook things. And it can take a little while to get used to that, and it can take a little while to actually get speedy doing it. It's almost like you're relearning how to cook. All right, I think that's everything there. Oh, one thing I did forget. I didn't get everything. Okay, so fortunately, I don't have any heat here yet. But so this is the problem. So this is the thing I forgot. I forgot to get the noodles out. And in fact, the spices and things as well. So my food is under this direction here, my pantry stuff. And if I had already started cooking here, obviously I either have to shift everything while it's boiling, which is a pain in the butt, or try and reach over it, which is dangerous, obviously. So what else do we need here? Now on top of my little food storage containers, I actually have a little space on top of them that can be used, so I'm going to use that also as bench space. You just got to use everything you can as bench space. So I got my noodles, chicken stock, it's fake chicken stock, crispy chili stuff, it's so tasty, soy sauce, sesame oil, and I think that's all I'm having for mine. Okay, next up I'm gonna boil the water in my jet boil. It's very close to being empty. I don't know if it'll be enough to boil this, but we'll see. So on this space in front of me, it is quite full now. I've got all of the things kind of set out in front of it. And so this is going to be a dedicated cooking space now. Hopefully I have everything I need. I have water, I have my veggies, I have my noodles. I may actually need to fill this up twice to have enough water for all of the noodles. Alrighty. This actually does have a piezo igniter on it, but when the gas in here is so low, the piezo lighter doesn't work, so I have to use an external flame for it. Now, very important when you are using heat, of course, like a naked flame that is, in a small space, is you need to have airflow. Now, I have the back door of my van open here, and I have two windows open there. One of the reasons I got my jet boil was when we were actually on our Adelaide trip, I wanted to be able to boil water faster because I didn't want to have the van open for an extended period of time when it was really, really cold. So I got the jet boil because we could boil water for making all different types of meals a lot faster, and then if it was super cold and all we needed was hot water, or it was something really quick, or just plain noodles that was going to be super fast, then I could do this with the van completely shut. And because it's so fast, it meant it wasn't on long enough for the carbon monoxide to build up. And at the back of my van, I actually have a carbon monoxide detector. That's a really important thing to have as well. But because this is so fast, it meant that it was much less of a worry for us. So it's been handy for that. All right, it's done. So I'm going to turn that off. And again, with the limited space, but I'm going to use this very carefully here and pump this up so that I can use the big pot. Alright, so I'm going to prepare my pot. It's a collapsible one, which is very cool. There's my lid. And it opens up like that. I boiled another pot of water because there wasn't quite enough in there. There you go, that should be heaps now. I'm going to turn this on. Now this is going to flame up very high because that's how this stove works. So don't be alarmed. Woohoo! It's a bit exciting using this for the first time. You can see how high this is, so this is one of the reasons why you really want to make sure you've got everything ready. I'm going to put the carrots in first. Alright, carrots are in. While that is cooking, I'm going to try and pack up some of this stuff so that I have a little bit more room to work in, and I have spaces to put things as I need to. I need 2.5 bricks for Alexis because she is a growing girl and she is currently 1 centimetre shorter than me, which is not hard to do, being only 5 foot. But because she's growing, she's eating a lot. So that's in fact why I needed to buy this pot. The tiny little saucepan that I had was great when she was smaller, but yeah, she's not anymore. She needs adult-sized food. Okay, noodles are in. I'm so glad I got this pot. This is great. All right, this is ready. Turn that off. Now, one thing that I haven't prepared here ahead of time is a place to put my cooking water. One thing that I could do is use it for making a broth with the noodles. I don't feel like a broth today, so I'm going to use the straining edge. It's got like holes there on this pot, and I'm going to drain my water just outside the door. Not every place can you do that, and you need to keep an eye out for that sort of thing. Some places you need to make no grey water at all. So if that was the case, what I would have done is probably cook these things separately, used a smaller amount of water, and then used the small amount of water that was left after cooking the noodles to have broth with the noodles, and that way we would have no grey water left at all. Okay, that has finished cooking. Now, let's juggle, because it's all about the juggling. Now, one thing you do want to do is have a good spatula, because to avoid excess washing up, if you can scrape every bit of food out of your pots and bowls, it is going to make doing your dishes in the ways that I have made videos about before a lot easier. The less food you have left, the easier it is to deal with. My food is ready in a very limited space, without setting anything on fire and without poisoning myself with carbon monoxide. So it's not hard. It's really just a matter of adjusting your thinking and being prepared. Being prepared ahead of time while you're cooking, but also being prepared to think ahead about how you're going to cook in a small space and what limitations you might have. And if you can do that, you will find it much more successful and much less frustrating. So yeah, that's my meal. I've got noodles and veggies and tofu. Yummy. That's it, really. If you've enjoyed this, I'd love it if you'd give it a thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't already, please. That would be really cool. And a big thanks to my Patreon members. You're all amazing. Thank you so much. I love chatting with you all. And if you are interested in my Patreon, there is a link in the description, and there'll be a link at the end of this video as well. And it starts at only $2 a month. So if you're keen to sort of see what I post during the week, it won't cost you very much at all. You can choose whichever tier you like. They all have the same benefits. I feel like it's just nicer if everyone can just pay what they can afford within those options, and you all get the same thing. So yeah, thanks very much, and I'll see you in the next video. Okay, bye. I think I'm gonna have to cook a bit more. Cook more water? No, I'm gonna have to boil more water.